Which job is a lot less fun than most people expect? Preschool teacher. Especially with new COVID-19 regulations. Ever try social distancing 3-year-olds? Oh my gosh. Build a bear. Weirdest and most frustrating thing. Granted, I didn't make it a super long time in the job, and seeing kids so happy is great. But they are really strict and the bad times get pretty bad. I imagine that store is just parents with sticker shock trying to talk their kids into cheaper options. You go in to do the little 35 bear. And walk out 150 later with a bear in a full tuxedo with a skateboard and a construction helmet. That is a fairly accurate assessment. I worked there for 14 years. I'm a forensic scientist, and it's literally the only thing people ask me about on dating apps. It's very technical work and it's extremely routine. I'm an archaeologist, and I imagine we have very similar conversations. Usually when I meet people I avoid the topic at this point because the pressure is on me to drive the energy of the conversation with the exciting 3% of what I do while avoiding too many technical terms. It's kind of deflating to see how quickly people go from 100 to 0 interest because of my explanation. Professional photographer. Not like hobbyist, but business owning photographer. Sucks the love right out of your work. Because you started the business to take pictures. Then Karen doesn't like the way she looks in one of them, so she wants the whole set for free plus a reshoot for free plus those images for free. Then the two high school kids getting into a very ill-advised marriage at exactly 18 years old wants to book you for their wedding, but their budget is only 50. Then Karen calls back because she loves your work and wants to pay for another shoot. But only if you agree to do her friend's daughter's destination wedding for free. Then you get a call from your last bride. It's been 2 weeks since their wedding. Where the fuck are her pictures? Then you get no leads from a bridal expo. Then a client finds out you don't support their candidate and tries to take you to court to get her money back. Then some Insta thought who thinks she's influencing people offers a collab where you take pro photos of her and she adds shitty Insta filters to it and claims her friend took them. And she's not gonna pay. And then you get some entitled mom who wants you to photograph every day of her newborn's first year of life for 100. I went back to being a hobbyist. Same. I burned out after a few years. You realize how weddings are so cookie cutter no matter the religious segment that they're attached to. The shittiest one has got to be the couple who refused to honor the contract and didn't pay me after their wedding. Naturally, I held their photos until payment was made. They tried suing me for not delivering their photos because apparently the 50% deposit was enough. Fuck that. Took it to court and the Justice of Peace, this is in Canada, ordered him to pay up. Wasted a day and 400 to file the case. Really pissed me off for a long time since I met this couple at a church I used to go to. We even all hung out with other church friends prior. Years later, this asshole and his wife was found to be running an illegal puppy mill. He tried discarding one of the puppies at a Plaza shopping mall by throwing it into a garbage can. The puppy was inside a garbage bag and was crying, and people heard it and rescued it. Security cameras caught and ID'd him clear as day. Police raided his house and found he had a bunch of animals in unkempt condition and the whole house smelled like shit. When you Google his name now, you find all of this. Pure karma. Barnes & Noble. Your job has literally nothing to do with books, and it obviously attracts a lot of that type. Myself included. My younger sister worked in the cafe for a long time. She said it was really frustrating, especially since they sold Starbucks coffee but weren't an actual Starbucks store, so people would complain about not taking their gift/loyalty cards or minor variations in the drink or pastry menu. That and making espresso drinks for people's 5-year-olds just felt really slimy. Park ranger. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. but a lot of days it was less talk about cool animals while wearing your ranger hat and more the toilets are overflowing again. Go clean the septic tank filter and stir the tank with a shovel. With a little bit of hay there's a methed out guy down by the bridge. Can you convince him to leave without killing anyone? All for the low price of 26k/year with a college degree. Edit so more people will see this. I hate the idea that this comment might dissuade anybody from becoming a park ranger. These jobs are so varied. And I just happen to work for an underfunded agency with too few staff. Honestly, I still love this job and would have kept doing it forever if a higher paying outdoor environmental job hadn't pretty much fallen into my lap. Being a park ranger taught me so much. And most importantly, I got trained as a wildland firefighter, which is still my favorite part of my job. If you've always dreamed of being a park ranger, please go for it. I do closed captioning. While I joke that yes, I get paid to watch TV, it's actually very tedious. And if you don't actually enjoy the programming, you're being forced to watch something you don't care for. Or worse, if it's something I do enjoy like a long-form drama, we usually chop those up into 15-minute increments and split between everyone, so I only see chunks and not always even in order. It actually ruins the show for me. Edit. Wow. For a thread about my job not being fun. Did not expect the response for interested parties. To summarize the questions. Anyone who knows proper grammar and spelling can pretty much work the technical side of closed captioning. For live writing you have to be a stenographer, which you need to train for with an associate's degree. If you're looking to do side transcription work, I'd recommend ordering a foot pedal online and looking into freelance sites such as Rev and Upwork. I can imagine it's tedious. My partner corrects YouTube videos sometimes and that takes so long. As a deaf person, I really appreciate captions. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you. We tend to get a lot of complaints from hearing-abled people who don't understand captions were mainly intended for the hard of hearing and deaf, so hopefully you get to read my captions and the viewing experience is still just as enjoyable for you. I'm hearing-abled and I adore captions. I wish people came with them in RL. Thankfully, it's more common to see good captioning than bad. Thanks for what you do. Working in a flower shop. It's just like any other retail job. But people constantly tell you how fun your job must be. Also, helping grieving families choose funeral flowers is not fun. For sure. Dealing with brides. Dealing with their mothers. Funerals. Sitting in traffic making deliveries. Waking up super early to get to the flower market. And so much bleach. I'm a marine biologist. I spent the last week measuring defrosted fish heads. The sea was angry that day. Well, I'm a scientist. I don't know if people usually think of that career as fun. But I think people think it's a lot more eureka. And a lot less this data has to be manually processed for 600 hours before I can analyze it. Yup. As a bioscientist, it's never really eureka and much more. Are my cells dead? Are my fruit flies okay? Are they going to fix the microscope? Will the microscope ever be free to book? Is 6 coffees too many? And a large part of my day is spent just doing tasks I need to do to keep my work running. I.e. making buffers, sorting fly stocks, splitting cells, cleaning things, etc. And yet I miss my lab. I will forever remember one of my lab mates yelling out my cells when we found out the code 2 had run out overnight. All the little bastards died just to spite us. And no, 6 coffees are not too many. Not a specific job but traveling for work. I'm in tech and a lot of people starting out talk about wanting to go to customer sites and get out in the field. I love to travel for fun, but it's hard to fit in the fun stuff when you have presentations and stuff to worry about, and a lot of times your customers aren't in the fun cities anyway. I also think I prefer the stability in day-to-day schedule of traveling less frequently. I traveled 85% for my job for years. Had a colleague who bitched and whined that he was so jealous. Until he hit the road and quit after less than a year. Yes. I got to go to some amazing places. But more often than not I was in a crappy hotel in a crappy location. Even in great places. Your colleagues or customers go home to their families, and as much as I love exploring alone, it does get lonely, yes. My tiara hurts my head. Wah. I finally stopped when I got assigned a new and fairly attractive destination, and all I could think was, oh ugh. How long is that flight, and can someone else do it? I sure miss my exec platinum airline status though. A pediatric nurse. Being a nurse for children and adolescents. Everyone in nursing school talks about how much they want to work with kids. The reality is that a pediatric nurse sees more cases of abuse and neglect than any other specialty. Doesn't matter where you are in a pediatric hospital. It's the thing you see most. I've seen so many DCS Department of Child Services caseworkers that I've gotten to know some of them and became acquaintances with them. Sure, working with children and adolescents is great. But people don't think about the most essential piece of that puzzle, which is their families. It doesn't matter how good of care you give to those kids. If you don't loop the parents into that care, you may as well just not be doing anything for them. I feel you. I work in pediatrics. I'm one step away from oncology. So I know more about cancer than I'd ever like to know. It can be soul-crushing at times. I do pediatric mental health. I used to do hospice for a while, and I don't know how you deal with the emotional toll sometimes in oncology. TV/film production. I think most people dream of being the actor, the director, the people making the creative decisions, or the big shot producer calling the shots. But most of the people working in TV and film production are part of a machine. The grind. Working in a system. Trying to climb up to wherever they want to be. Many don't get to actualize their creative vision. Also, the industry can be project-based, job security concerns and location-limited. New York/LA. Maybe other cities. Pay can be low starting out too. Though it can be good if you work way up. But I did enjoy the type of people that work these jobs. A little more fun than the business folk I work with now. Edit. Just want to note I have a lot of respect for the TV/film industry. I would go back to it. But I would be careful about what the job and career path was. Video editor. The more I do it, the more I can't be arsed. What I hate so much is that when you send a draft or edit to the client/boss, they mostly seem so ungrateful. Or yeah, just make this easy change and we'll be good to go. No, asshole. That's not an easy change. I do video editing on top of graphic design. And people just seem so unappreciative of how much time and effort goes into a quick little video. Although not necessarily bad. Beekeeping. Get used to the constant sound of buzzing during hive inspections/swarm removals, plus wearing the protective suit in hot ass weather for hours on end, give or take the situation. Also, there appears to be a large number of beekeepers allergic to bees, so EpiPens are a must. Why on earth would someone who's allergic to bee stings go into beekeeping? That seems a not very intelligent decision. They probably weren't allergic to bees before they became keepers. Repeated stings can lead to sensitization. Basically, they become allergic. Hear an old paper about it? I always say the more fun it is to go somewhere, the worse it is to work there, like amusement parks and arcades. Honestly. Every job that lots and lots of people really want to do sucks. Mostly due to supply and demand. You're gonna be treated like shit. And if you complain, you're gonna be fired because you're inherently replaceable. Because there's thousands of people that would love to do your job for even less money than you are making. I tried to explain this to my father when I was going to accept a bartending job at minimum wage. He said I should demand at least 15/HR, and I told him they would laugh me out of the bar and find some college student willing to work for less than minimum wage. The fact I would be getting minimum wage was because I knew the bartenders and the owner, so I would have started out at a higher position than just entry level. I didn't want to bartend. It was a guaranteed job with people I knew right after I graduated. It was more than I had otherwise, and I was easily replaceable for cheaper.